Goedemorgen, good morning, salam alaikum, and welcome to this seminar, The Importance of Sport and Physical Activities in the Lives of Women and Girls. My name is Joyce Bijl, and I'm the Head of Sales for Pontoon Solutions, which is an Adecco Group organization. I see you thinking, what is she doing here? But I'm pretty much involved in our Win for Youth program, which is a well-being program under the Adecco Group, in which we activate our employees, but also our clients and contractors to have a healthy lifestyle. For all the activities they log into our system, the kilometers they run, we make a donation to Plan International. We support a program in Vietnam where we pay for the education of underprivileged women and girls to get their education and support their families. Besides that, I've been always very active, and I like to challenge myself through sports. I used to do white-collar boxing. I run the Marathon des Sables, which is a 257-kilometer run through the Sahara Desert. I finished my full Ironman, and as we speak, I'm actually training for one again. I'm extremely pleased to be the moderator of this special event, both for the participants here in the room, but also for the ones at home that are watching us virtual. We will focus on the pitfalls and the opportunities for sport and physical activity for girls and women in different countries, with a focus on empowerment and leadership. Next to me is Jacqueline Kronenburg, who represents the Knowledge Center for Sport and Physical Activities. And she is the organizer of this event. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
What is the idea behind this seminar?
Well, we're here in the Netherlands Sports Week, and we're here in the Dutch Pavilion. And the Dutch Pavilion is all about energy, food, water, in the different volgorde. But, and it's also the Knowledge and Learning Week here. And we thought it's a wonderful chance to bring this all together, because you know what's needed for sports, to play sports. You need water, you need food, you need energy, and it gives you energy. And you also know what you need to have to get new knowledge, to actively participate in something. So that's what we're doing today. And we're doing that today in a theme that's a societal value of sport. And you know that also it's all about the Sustainable Development Goals here in the Dutch Pavilion, but also somewhere all over the World Expo. And did you know that at least 5 SDGs are connected with the importance of sport and physical activity for women and girls? And especially SDG 5, which is about gender equity and empowerment of women. So that's a wonderful chance to talk about it today, together. And the World Expo is also about sharing knowledge, sharing stories from different perspectives, from various countries. And that's what we're doing today, together. So I'm looking forward. The overall theme of the Expo is, let's check it, connecting minds, creating the future. So I would think, let's start today, connecting and listening to each other's stories. Thank you.
The Knowledge Centre for Sport and Physical Activity Netherlands, making sport and physical activity more powerful through knowledge. This is exactly why our Knowledge Centre exists. Designed for you as professional in sport, in health, welfare, education and in the government. We collect and share knowledge with you. This ensures higher quality and more effective sports and physical activity. We have all you need or want to encourage others, to help yourself, to help at work. So start moving in the smartest possible way, onwards and upwards. Valid information, up-to-date research, and inspiring examples from science, from strategy and practice. The Knowledge Centre for Sport and Physical Activity makes it possible and accessible. Get in touch with us for workshops and training. We have useful tools and personal advice. Our database is full of step-by-step plans for you. You can use them in your practice, your organisation, your association, and in your neighbourhood or municipality. Above all, use our knowledge base with more than 20,000 publications. We have the knowledge, You make the difference, for yourself and for others. A more dynamic and active lifestyle starts with knowledge. At the Knowledge Centre for Sport and Physical Activity Netherlands.
Before we move forward, a few small things. You might hear a little bit of background noise, but we are here in the Dutch pavilion, and there are a lot of visitors today who would take part of the experience. There will be water in a bit available on the side as well, so please, if you feel the need to have a little bit of activity, take a little bit of water and come back when you're ready. We also today use the hashtag, so if you're active on social media, please use the Women in Sports. You see it behind and in front. Before we move forward as well, I quickly would like to make the virtual participants aware that they can add questions during the chat. We will either answer them during the questions at the end or at the end of a session. Next up, we have a video interview with Business Development Manager Keri McDonald of the Association for International Sport for All, better maybe known as TAFISA, and we know that she's actually virtual watching us. Keri will give a broad overview of the gender gap in sport and physical activities and the possibilities to close this gap. She will be also referring to outcomes of Erasmus sport projects that TAFISA has been coordinating. And besides her activities, she's also a project leader of Europe in Action, and she leads the mentorship and mobility program to equip a generation of young African and European women with the skills, knowledge, experience, and guidance to lead the Sport for All movement. Have a look.
Sport for All has demonstrated itself in recent years to be a key player in the fight to close the gender gap and empower girls and women globally. Sport for All offers a unique approach towards the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 5 by mobilizing all of us, regardless of age, nationality, gender, culture, religion, ability, etc. It speaks to us in a universal language and tackles gender stereotypes, social norms, and expectations head on. There's a multitude of benefits for girls and women that participate in Sport for All. As a participant, it offers an inclusive, fun, and safe space to participate and try out various types of sport and physical activity. And it's very important to highlight that within the Sport for All movement, this is in a low-pressure, non-competitive environment, which can contribute towards a lifetime passion for sport. There's also the personal and life skills that participation and involvement brings, such as empowerment, teamwork, resilience, self-resilience, the building of self-esteem and confidence, the making of lifelong friends, and the creation of a network, all of which are very important for girls and women. I think it's important to highlight the benefits around a more positive body image, especially as girls and women are really pressured by the media and society to develop unrealistic ideal body types. This can lead to really unhealthy behaviours and personal dissatisfaction. So encouraging girls to participate in sport and physical activity can remove these negative stereotypes and connotations. Ultimately, it's important for all sectors to acknowledge Sport for All as a lever for achieving more equitable societies. Sport for All truly represents an opportunity to unleash girls and women's options and opportunities. I think it's really difficult to pinpoint facts or figures that may be more significant than others regarding gender equity in sport, as gender inequities and inequalities are evidenced across all levels of the entire sports sector. For example, all around the world, girls are participating in sport at lower rates than boys of all ages. Girls tend to start involvement in sport later than boys, and they're dropping out twice as fast than their boy peers for reasons that are often preventable. For example, it's lack of supportive coaches, leaders, role models, and environments that are simply not welcoming for girls. When we look at women's participation, they're also facing general lack of safe and appropriate sport facilities, which can potentially expose them to harassment and abuse, whilst also experiencing additional physical constraints, such as lack of time, the lack of childcare facilities, lack of financial resources. And then, of course, we have the representation of women at decision-making levels. For example, in 2019, only 6% of National Olympic Committee presidents were women. And then we have the media coverage. When it comes to girls and women participating in sport, they're frequently misrepresented or underrepresented in the media. So even though we see some positive stories and we do hear of successes when it comes to closing the gender gap and empowering girls and women in sport, progress is being made, but I think it's slow and there's still so much work that has to be done. We have our Mission 2030 with 12 identified themes to fight the worldwide physical inactivity epidemic, as well as tackle some of the world's biggest problems. One of the themes is gender equality. So we have an active vision and mission to lead our members and global sport for all stakeholders in this area. In practical terms, TAFISA is also leading several projects surrounding girls and women empowerment in sport and gender equity in sport, two of which are the Female Leaders of Tomorrow project, or FLOT, and this is a mobility and mentorship program which aims to equip and empower a new generation of young African and European women who are currently working or volunteering in Sport for All. And it provides them with the necessary skills, knowledge, experience, and guidance to lead the global Sport for All movement. We also have the Europe in Action project, which is undertaking an innovative and specialised approach to transfer sport into practical action. One of the ways in which we're doing this is through the design and development of non-formal educational modules, one of which is on gender equity. The module really highlights the global state of play. We provide useful resources. We highlight the contribution of Sport for All and provide good practices amongst other information. In addition, TAFISA regularly advocates on the importance of gender equity by representing the Sport for All movement at high-level conferences, events, and seminars. We also partner with other organisations who share the same mission and vision. For example, Nike Made to Play, UNESCO, European Union, African Union, and the African Union Sports Council Region 5. Finally, I would just like to say that TAFISA's consistently supporting our members' development in this area by collecting and sharing best practices and resources. I think there's three pieces of advice that I would like to share. Number one is I think it's very, very important, it's fundamental that we all consider gender equity in every aspect of our work and not just as a tokenistic or a checkbox activity. I also think it's fundamental that we acknowledge that each girl and woman has a unique experience of discrimination and oppression. And there's many factors that marginalize people: gender, sexual orientation, race, socioeconomic status, nationality, religion, disability, etc. And we have to really recognize this and be aware of it, especially in the designing and the implementation of our programs, activities, events, campaigns, etc. And finally, I think the final message I would like to share is that it is not possible for us to close this gender gap in silo. We all must work together. We've got to work in partnership and collaboration, share ideas, share resources, share experiences, utilize research, evidence, and needs analysis to design efficient and effective change. We need collective action in this area. The final point I'd like to say is that right now the system is not working for girls and women, and I truly believe that we all have a responsibility to positively contribute towards the change. Thank you.
Thank you, Keri. For the next session, I would like to welcome Abeer Al-Khaja, who is the Acting Director of Marketing for the Dubai Sports Council. With a passion for media and background in both sports and culture, she uses her media platform to reach out to everybody who is interested in a healthy lifestyle. Abeer aspires to represent the UAE in international and local forums as an Emirati career woman. She also is a co-founder of the Anna Go Running Club, a running club dedicated to women in the UAE. When she's not working at her day job, you will find her running somewhere in a race or training at the gym. Women in sport have become a main goal for the Dubai Sport Council strategic plan. The objective is to spread awareness about the women's sports, culture and its benefits in practicing sports and physical activity. Besides this, they focus and assure the promising female players to join sport clubs to boost their talent and develop their athletic performance to take part in the international women's team. A warm welcome to Abeer.
Hello, everybody. Abeer from Dubai Sports Council. I'm currently working there as acting head of media and marketing. And in my free time, as our moderator said, I'm very active, try to live a active and healthy lifestyle. And I'm originally into CrossFit or a CrossFitter, but over time, you start to find love. What I see, you start to find love for other sports as well. So got into running, and I think that became something that is sort of a routine or a habit for me. And I'll start with a very small or brief story about myself. When I first started running, I think it was in 2013, and I started running with a community group of girls. And I think I ran for like a minute or two. I don't know how to run. So I collapsed and stayed on the floor while they continued and tried to catch my breath while they continued running. And it bothered me. I thought, why is everybody okay and running? And I'm just like tired or weak and don't have that kind of strength. So it sort of turned into a goal for me, a challenge, which I wanted to overcome personally. So I started running with my friends after that every week. And we had this amazing opportunity with the director of Dubai Ladies Club. So in Dubai, we have several ladies clubs dedicated to women or an environment where women can feel comfortable to train. And that's where we started running. I was still a bit shy to run outdoors. So we'd go there and we'd run. The director saw us running outside and she's like, who are these girls who are running outside? I want to meet them. So we met her and we were so blessed because she's a great leader. Her name is Lamia Khan. And Lamia gave us the opportunity to run the track free of charge with our friends, with our family, with our community every week, every Tuesday. And we still do that. So our running clubs initiated from that. We weren't so good at running. So now we're proud to say that Ana Go running. Ana Go means I am strong. So Ana Go running is based, or its basis is that it's a running club for ladies that are non-runners. So we're not really runners or people who run marathons or 10Ks or half marathons, or at least we weren't. But we had to create some sort of a community for these girls, for ourselves, for myself, to overcome this challenge. So we call it running for non-runners. As you know, there are many challenges nowadays for women in sports. And I'm not saying that it's not getting better, it is. Women, we find, especially young women nowadays, influenced by the media, more self-conscious about their own image. So to get them into sports for younger women and women who have careers, working, moms, and so on, it's a challenge. So one of the ways where we try to, what we do in Anago Running is we show that this environment is safe for beginners. It's safe for everybody to come try. All we ask you to do is get off the sofa and come join us for a run. And let's have fun together. And we noticed that that actually worked. So when we started to run, it was because maybe it was something we were lacking, the performance, the pacing, and even the fitness or stamina. But then it turned into a community. Girls started gathering. We started the club on social media, just reaching out to girls, free of charge, trying to sort of get them to come join us. And it worked, and we still run every Tuesday. And over the years, things changed, thankfully, working at Dubai Sports Council, understanding the vision that our leaders have for women and gender equality here in the UAE. It has grown exponentially, knowledge-wise, more awareness nowadays, more initiatives, and more seats for women in board committees, in sports, in different fields. So based on that vision that our leaders have and that us as women, we want to drive, we've been working on Dubai Sports Council to come up with sort of new initiatives or sports that appeal to the younger generation so that we can get everybody active, whether it's through forums like this or through committees, women committees in different sports like football or basketball, and maybe even a little bit newer sports like paddle tennis. We see that women are now more encouraged, and we see that women now are more prone to joining sports. And not only in the recreational way, but also in the management. We have women entrepreneurs now starting their own event sports management here in the UAE. They have worked with different entities to offer grants. There's one called 9714 Sports that offer grants to underprivileged women or children from maybe who want to get into sports or want some sort of support and scholarships and so on to increase their passion or their journey into their own passion or sport. So we see that happening, and that's some of the examples that we have is Sheikha Hind Women's Tournament. And this is a tournament that has over 12 sports. It started with the Dubai Sports Council Women's Committee back in the day, about almost 9, if I'm not wrong, 9 or 10 years ago. And it continues now every year. And every year we see new sports added, things like paddle tennis, things like triathlon, sports like CrossFit, because the trends are changing and we realize that. And we want to be part of the people who positively show change or are active in the sports industry. And we have to be as leaders or as a sports council. So I guess that part is great too for us in Dubai or in the UAE because we have a great infrastructure. There are cycling tracks and running tracks, and there are ladies clubs or just academies, and every sports club has women's teams in almost more than 10 or 12 sports. So the infrastructure is there. Now, how do we overcome women's participation, or how do we encourage women's participation? We do that through initiatives, sports events. If you look at the sports calendar in Dubai, you will find that there are a lot of events that have women's heats or women waves. For example, in Ironman, or in women's triathlon, or in Spartan races, obstacle races. So we try to create that kind of environment for women to feel comfortable to partake in these community events. And that's part of also the vision of togetherness, a happy community, a healthy community. So a mom could be there in the race with her son, or they could go as a family, or as sister and brother. So we see that also trend happening thanks to initiatives such as Dubai Fitness Challenge, as Gov Games. Last weekend we had Gov Games, and we had over 30 teams of women compete. It took a full day to have these women compete in 9 obstacles. Each obstacle consists of 10 minutes of training, mental and physical, and about 7 girls in every team. So we're talking about maybe participation of over 200 women. And it was wonderful. And we were inspired. We wanted this a long time ago, and now it's happening. And it's great to be there and watch it happen. So again, with these initiatives where we had Sheikh Hind's tournament start with 160 participants, growing now to 1,000 women or participants, that for us is a success. Now we understand that there's a long way to go, and that we have a lot to learn from the best practices and knowledge sharing that we can share also with the Netherlands and with the experts here. We have an amazing cosmopolitan environment in the UAE. We always learn from the trainers, we learn from the community, we learn from the experts and the athletes and the coaches, and we want that to continue. The best coaches I had are not from the UAE. They taught me how to do my first pull-up. They taught me how to run properly. They encouraged me to do an Ironman, even though I'm not very good swimmer. We try, and we do that together. So I guess maybe the last thing I want to say is we invite you all to come and participate and take part in our community events, and maybe experience a little bit of the things and the inspiration and motivation that we share together as a community. I think I will end it at this, but if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
Are there any questions in the room? No questions? Well, thank you, Abeer. I love the personal touch of your story, how you started this journey. And I can vouch for the Dubai Sports Council, how they organized the women event. I participated actually myself in the women triathlon, and I think it's an amazing event. It's in a very safe environment, and you see actually all kind of ladies who try it for the first time, who are really encouraged to do this, and I think it's a great initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to welcome Mariam Rashed Al Mansoori. Now I have to look very well. Mariam is a conference specialist at the Fatima Bint Mubarak Ladies Sport Academy, a board member of the Fatima Bint Mubarak World Sport Award, and a board member of the International Conference of Sports for Women. That was a mouthful. Welcome. Mariam's role is to provide Emirati women and women living in the UAE with educational health and sports seminars, workshops, forums, and a wide spectrum of other topics. This includes like healthy nutrition, lifestyle, etc. Mariam represents the Academy and the United Emirates in several conferences, inside but also outside of the UAE. Mariam is also a presenter at the Khaja, if I pronounce it correct, which is a sports social program provided by the Fatima Bint Mubarak Academy to host Emirati influential sport figures. Welcome, Mariam.
Hello, everyone. I'm sure it's been a long video, and the video itself spoke about herself, but I wanted to show you all here that this all footage was taken during the pandemic, that we didn't stop. During the challenges, what we faced, and the lockdown, we provided our community with several events, which is to deliver our message from the academy to provide the community with a healthy lifestyle, to keep it as a daily element. First of all, I'll share with you a little bit story about myself, how I end up joining FBMA family. I think my story is similar to you, Abeer, which was I finished my study. I got my degree in health information management, which was related to health and sport medicine. It wasn't related directly to sport, but health and sport, it's much more the same. When I finished my study, I went out there, volunteer, and participated in many sports. I started with like my favorite top 3, what I can say, which is handball, basketball, and tennis. I participated not as a professional athlete or as I wanted to join a club, but it's in my free times. One time, we saw a post about a shooting, trainings. I wanted there. I tried doing shooting, which was pistol 9mm. I never shoot or tried it or like handling the gun or. I wanted there just to try. I didn't get it. I didn't score anything the first time. But when I went back again, my friends keep asking, let's go, let's try it. I heard that they will create a team. I told them, a team under what name? They said the Fatima Bint Mubarak Lady Sports Academy. And the name itself, the Fatima Bint Mubarak, the mother of the nation, which inspired me and made me dedicated to the trainings, to go out there and train hard. And after long time, I qualified. I was one of the team. We were the first team and of the first ever team of shooting in the academy. We got the first place. And it was a really new experience for us all who joined the team. We were 7 members. It was a competition between different government entities in Abu Dhabi, which they have experienced more than us. But because of the name, we meet all together. The team member, I didn't know them from before. We sat and we discussed, let's make it happen. The name itself, we need, we have all the respect, the love of the mother of the nation. Let's do it, and let's beat all members there. We got the first. It was, I didn't thought of it, but we felt very happy. And I met the team member at the academy, and I got the offer to join the academy. It was an amazing experience from doing sports, joining the career, and handle the team itself. This is a little bit about my story, how to join the academy. Now I wanted to share with you a little bit information about the academy. Under the patronage of Her Highness Sheikha Fatima Bint Mubarak, Mother of the Nation, the Fatima Bint Mubarak Academy established in 2010. It's a non-profit government entity located in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. Headed by its chairwoman, Sheikha Fatima Bint Hazza bin Zayed Al Nahyan, chairwoman of Abu Dhabi and Al Ain Ladies Club. Fatima Bint Mubarak Academy, FBMA, is dedicated to support Emirati women and residents in the Emirate with making sports as an essential element of a daily an everyday lifestyle. At the academy, we have a pillar of work. Let's say like the first event and tournament, we held several community events to international level events and sports tournament with different sports. As you saw in the video, we had like from fishing to golf to shooting, different sports. We have
Small issue.
Is it okay now? Yeah. So the different sports we provided, especially the community, to encourage ladies out there to join us. The same message as Abeer said earlier. We try our part as an Abu Dhabi sports entity to gather the ladies at one safe place to do what they love in different background. No need to be an athlete or to be fit for this particular sport. We just want you to go there, live a healthy lifestyle, and do the sport that you love. The second pillar of work, educational program, the one I'm handling at the academy, from different seminars, forums, and conferences. I wanted to speak about the program we launched during the pandemic that gave us so many ideas. And one of it was the Hayyakum. Hayyakum means welcome. This program, we invited different athletes with different backgrounds, from being a sports woman or an athlete or working in a sports federation. We sat together. It's a friendly chat program. It's in our FBMA YouTube channel. Different athletes, different backgrounds. We tried to take this program to be spread, let's say, in schools and around the Emirates, to share these success stories with other maybe ladies want to join sports, and maybe they are afraid that they don't have enough time to practice their sport. In this program, we ask these questions to athletes. How do you separate your work with your trainings? But most of them, if their answer, like if you love what you're doing, you will find time to do it. So I invite you all to go to our FBMA YouTube channel. You might like this channel, and if you have any athletes you want to recommend, we can invite her. And if you have any questions as well, you can write it down there. Next, which is talent management, team creations. Now we're focusing more on creating teams. We would like to have this platform with providing the teams the tools and the place where they can go there and practice, do their sports in a place where everyone will know them in the future. Like, let's say the first team ever in, let's say, kayaking. Now we started with basketball, a volleyball, shooting team as well, and horse riding and horse jumping. We have this 4 teams, and we are growing more and more very soon. Last, which is International Conference of Sports for Women. It's a huge conference happening in every 2 years. To gather all international figures in sports in one platform here in Abu Dhabi, where they can share their experience with each other. We invited so many entities to join and participate, which held as well different workshops during the days of the conference. This is a little bit about the Academy. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if there is, I wanted to make it interactive as much as it can. And if there is any questions in your mind, please ask it to me. Yes, Abeer.
Just my question is that the younger generation now seems to want to play more than do sports or compete. So they might watch someone do something like parkour on a YouTube video, and then rather than them trying for that. Same thing, like for example, with TikTok being so popular, dance is becoming something very popular, and dance is a sport. But how do we engage with the young people? That's what I've been thinking for the past few weeks. How do we engage with the young people nowadays and with the different trends in sports? What do you think are some of the things that we can maybe discuss or look into from your experience?
Sure, that's an excellent question, Abeer. Regarding the young girls, let's say we had, and we every year, but during the pandemic, we couldn't continue. We turned it to virtual, which is the summer camp. We have it like 2 months period in a place with a different workshops. Let's say we have a collaboration with different entities as well from, let's say, Abu Dhabi Public Health Center. They have like health topics, for example, how to create your healthy lunchbox, from trainings in basketball, volleyball, dancing classes, swimming classes. During the summer period, every time we launch this summer camp to encourage young girls to go there and do what they love, to exercise. We don't want them the same idea. We need to let them move and go out there, do the sports in a funny and in a healthy way. So I hope that's, yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Abeer, for asking that question. Is there any other question?
Please tell your name and your organization.
Arnett Violet, RSI Sports. My question is, in Western Europe, you see a trend from team-related sports towards more individualization in sports, and how do you adapt on that trend, or is it a trend not happening over here?
Can you come again, please?
So in Western Europe, we see a trend from team-related sports, organized sports, to more individualization sports, where people want to move, want to sport, but in their own time and according to their own planning. Is that trend also happening in the Middle East, and how are you adopting your strategy on that?
Let me get it right. Like you were asking about moving from team to be an individual in their time. I don't think so that's happening here. We need to ask to get the clear answer. I don't want to answer it and I get it wrong. So we'll figure it out, and I can get your contact and we can discuss more about it. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for a good presentation so far. My name is John van der Luijmen, one of the co-founders of Orange Sports Forum. What I would like to know, let's say, is elaborating on the subject that just came across. How important is it for your youngsters here in the Middle East to have big examples, the stars of the region? And do you work on that also?
Of course, we are like working hard to train these athletes to be a famous figure in their sports. And this is one of the questions in my program. Who's your famous athletes, or who do you want? Who's your like you get your inspiration from? Most of them, they said, we don't have local famous athletes. And this is why we're here, along with other entities, to try to provide the ladies with all the tools to make them in high ranks and high level in their sports, to to be in the special the Olympics, in international events abroad, to raise the UAE flag up there, and this is our dream. This is why all entities in Emirates working hard to achieve, and hopefully that will be very soon. Thank you. Thank you so much, all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. I would like to welcome back Jacqueline Kronenburg. Jacqueline, of course, we have seen already at the beginning and the start of the seminar. Jacqueline, she's a seasoned public and international affairs professional working with the Knowledge Center for Sport and Physical Activities in the Netherlands. Jacqueline is the contact person for organizations that seek collaboration with the Knowledge Center in Europe, but also abroad. The participation of both women and men, girls and boys, in sports are in the Netherlands quite balanced. However, gender equality is still on the agenda, as much needs to be done. Jacqueline will not only share facts and figures, but also inspiring stories about sport initiatives in the Netherlands and abroad.
Thank you. So, firstly, I must confess something. The idea for the theme of this seminar was quickly found, but it was based on a bias. And I will get back to you a little while later. But the position of girls and women in society is an issue that's close to my heart. And here at the Expo Dubai, there's the Women's Pavilion. And their key message is, when women thrive, all humanity thrives. So I say, hear, hear. But then, working at the Knowledge Center for Sport and Physical Activity, I'm always interested in how sport and exercise can change. Oh, sorry, I did something wrong. Must get back. So, okay, here I am, all worked out. So, I work at the Knowledge Center for Sport and Physical Activity, and I'm always interested in how sport and physical activity can change the lives of women and girls. It's about empowerment, it's about pushing boundaries in the world of sports, in the world of school, or at home, or in the workplace. And when I first thought about the theme of this seminar, I didn't have a clue about the way sport is organized in the UAE. And especially not how it's organized, how the facilities are for women and girls. So luckily, I'm a member of the International Network for Professional Women. It's called Seroptimist International. And they do have a club here in Dubai. I met the ladies this week, good opportunity. And so I got in touch with them a few months ago. And I sent a question. Here's it. Should we be presenting about sports in a country where limited possibilities are for women and girls to participate? What do you think? So I met them this week and they said, we had a big laugh after you sent this question. And then we sent the answer, and this is what I quote. I think you have mistaken the limitations in sport with our neighboring countries, Saudi Arabia, Iran. Here in the UAE, there are no limitations, and in fact, they support and empower women beyond any other country in the world. Even more opportunities for women here than in the Western countries where I have lived. So is the president from the Seroptimist here. So there I was, left, caught in my own bias. There and then I knew the answer. Let us not make presumptions about each other, but rather share our insights in an open dialogue. So thank you, Joyce, and Keri, and Mariam, and Abeer for your contributions to this seminar, which have already added so much more depth and mutual understanding, and we're not even halfway there. So research shows that worldwide, girls face many complex challenges. Keri told us also about it. And barriers such as economic, cultural, and social barriers in terms of getting into sport and staying involved. And they tend to drop out of sport twice as fast as boys. And in these times of COVID, in Europe, even fewer girls are given the opportunity to play sports. And when you have quit sport, there's no easy way going back to it, especially later in life. And that's why my presentation will focus on the impact we can make with sport and physical activity in the lives of girls. So I will mainly talk about impact on empowerment, and later on we will have a discussion about leadership in sport. So now I would like to present the Dutch perspective to you. Firstly, some facts and figures, the physical activity guidelines in the Netherlands and the participation of women and girls. And after that, I'd like to focus on a few good practices and policies, and I'll finish my talk about the Keep Youngsters Involved in Sport project. But first, why is it so important to talk about this subject? Why is participation in sport and exercise especially important for women and girls? Well, it has a positive impact on health and active citizenship. We heard all about it this morning. It gives women opportunity to profile their talents and achievements, and I think hearing the stories of Abeer and Mariam, it shows the case. And it raises self-esteem and confidence in female participants. So let's show the guidelines in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, we have the guidelines on physical activity based on the WHO guidelines. And here you can see what we're aiming at. For young people, it's 1 hour a day active movement recommended, and taking part in sports at least 3 times a week. And adults, 2.5 hour a week active movement, and a minimum of twice a week practicing balance and muscle strengthening when you especially when you get older. So where do we stand? Younger children do better with regard to the guidelines than older children, and boys do it slightly better than girls. So in primary school, you see 62% boys being sufficiently active versus 55% of the girls. And in secondary school, percentages drop. 45% for the boys against 39% for the girls. And looking at the adults, especially in the elderly category, men do better than women in the Netherlands. So 45% of the men are sufficiently active enough, and 38% of the women. And so this is how we show that in the Netherlands. This is the beweegcirkel, like we call it in the Netherlands. Are these the percentages we're happy with in the Netherlands? No, not at all. At the moment, we're waiting for the new government, and we hope the biggest issue on the table is the fight against inactivity. That's the other pandemic, as we call it. And there is a concept policy available. It's collaborated on and written by 5 ministries, and it's called the Netherlands Vital and Physically Active. Because physical activity is not only to be found in a sports club, but also in school, at childcare, in the park, in the workplace. It's everywhere. So it needs to have a holistic approach. And that's what's needed to reach the aim of 75% of the Dutch population being sufficiently active according to the guidelines. So now for the more interesting stuff, I think, talking about this subject of today. What are the differences between boys and girls in their approach to sport? And be aware, this is the general perspective, and I know for sure that there are girls and boys here that don't apply to this table. But let's get into it. So first, trial and error. Boys are the ones who say, oh, just get trying a new skill, and girls, they want to look out, what is it? And they talk to each other about it, and shall we do that? And then maybe they start a game. And the next one is boys do, oh, I'm sorry, back to it. The boys want to be the best, and girls say, oh, I'm afraid of failure. So girls are holding back too much, because the idea of failing is worse for them than trying something new. And they're not so much interested in being the best, like the boys, but doing themselves something that they're good at and where they feel they belong. And another thing, boys are more competition-driven, and girls are much more dedicated to having fun in a non-competitive sport. So competition is not something most girls are looking for. They seem to be more interested in activities like dancing, like self-defense in martial class and fitness classes. And then the last one that you show, and Keri also mentioned it, when boys get taller and they develop muscles, most of the time they get more self-confidence. But the girls, when they're age 12 to 15, they can be overly body conscious, and with all the changes they see in their body. And as a result, sport for them is something they don't want to do anymore. They're focusing on the super fit, super slim influencers on Instagram. So again, it's a general perspective. It's from the research that we have found together. So we talk about some good policies. What can we do about it? Understanding all this from many kinds of research, we have to focus on the issue of keeping girls involved in sport. And one of the most genuine influencers is the coach. The coach with the right mindset and the right tools can create a fun and inclusive play and sports environment for girls to enjoy and feel safe in. And luckily there are good toolboxes and training available, and I would specifically like to recommend the Nike Made to Play Girls and Boys, Girls and Guys program, and the iCoach Kids guide. And our Knowledge Center has a MOU with the iCoach Kids. The knowledge is also partly researched by a Dutch researcher, and it's also to be found in a dedicated Dutch website about the pedagogical sports climate. And it's built on a wide variety of research from, for instance, the Women's Sport Foundation, and explores the critical role of coaches and how they persuade girls to stay in sport. And the guide has a holistic approach for coaching activities, with strong recommendations and great tips that are very simple to understand and implement. And here are the 5 interconnected pillars. So, playing space for girls. Do you know what happens when a coach says, okay guys, get a ball? Then most boys get a ball. And girls, most of the times, they think, oh, it's not for me. So, use of inclusive language can help, or create a space with no boys around. Also a possibility. Another one, creating connections. The right coach spends time with the girls, and he knows about the importance of peers. In sport, you can make friends for life, and that makes also that you keep your sporting life. And the other one, let girls compete. We had it already, we talked about it. Some girls do love competition, and others you have to create another side of a different way of competition. For instance, team against team, or within a team, or against yourself, just getting personally better. The idea of simply achieving a personal best is also competition. And we have to work on from I can't to I can. And this is about the importance of effort, about getting better, about praising and enjoying the process and not just the outcome. So remember to label what they've done in detail. Nice pass. And the last one, brave, not perfect. Creating a coaching environment where it's okay to just try and make mistakes. And of course there are coaches like that. And meet Huda Lukili. She's a coach from the Netherlands, and she started kickboxing when she was 11 years old. And then she has just followed her passion as a coach, 17 years already coaching girls and boys. And I listened to her, and she says, be open-minded. So it doesn't matter who you are, girls who want to come to her classes. Don't matter who you are and how you react, during class, we celebrate the differences here. And she says also, stimulate girls to believe in themselves. So make them feel that they matter. Teach them to say no when they don't want to do something, and emphasize fun. And she also says, think about diversity and role models. So girls have the feeling they have to live up to a certain image, and let them know that they can just be themselves. And then we have another good practice from the Netherlands. It's called Wereldmeiden, or in English, Active Girls of the World. It's talking about role models, friendships, celebrating diversity. It's all in this project. It's aimed at girls from ages 14 to 28, and that have recently moved to the Netherlands as refugees with an official status. Often they live in towns where they have nobody, they know nobody, and these girls with a migrant background might also have some cultural limitations in joining a sports club or being active at all. And for these girls and their parents, it's important to offer a safe, girls-only environment. And in this project, they exercise together with Dutch girls of their own age. And they will introduce them as buddies to the Dutch sports world. For the Dutch girls, it's their time spent on civic duty, maatschappelijke diensttijd. And at the end of the year, about 800 girls in several provinces will have participated in this project. And the new girls, they learn about teamwork, about self-confidence, and they develop their physical skills. But the same applies to the Dutch girls. As a bonus, they're more involved in the social issue of integration. And the cherry on the cake is, of course, the social networks that are being built in this project. Indeed, friendships are already born in this way. So, and the first girls have already found their way to local sports clubs, so let's hope this project will even bear more fruit in this way. Here you are. The final part of my presentation consists of 2 knowledge products from our Knowledge Center for Sport that are available in English and could be of interest to you. First of all, Sport ABC Moves. It's an abbreviation of a lot of words, connecting with creating an environment that enhances physical activity. And today we have talked about factors that are called software and orgware in the model. The way you stimulate, for instance, girls to ride bikes to their school, or the way coaches are trained, that's called software. And developing a strategy to come there, that's called orgware. And creating public spaces and accommodations that feel safe and welcome, that's hardware. And there's much more to tell, but as you can see in the figure, they are all connected. So investing in coaching, like I just told, is very important, but it's not the only factor in promoting sports for girls. It's a holistic approach. So, how does this benefit society when we better invest in sport and physical activity, not only for girls, but for the Netherlands as a whole? This was calculated in 2019, and this is for the whole population, not only female population. It's a piece of research commissioned by the Knowledge Center for Sports, and it's called the SROY, the I. The social return on investment was calculated €1 to 251 euro. So every invested euro brings a social value of 251 euro, or in dirham, 4 dirham, every 4 dirham, 10.5 dirham return. But it's value like better health, less injuries, more productivity in work or school, and less sick leave, and more fun in life. So I would think that's quite a good investment. So, as I promised, I will now conclude with the Keep Youngsters Involved project. And this week it's the Knowledge and Learning Week here at the Expo. And we know all how we do that, how we learn best. That's by doing. And what I have here, is the toolkit from Keep Youngsters Involved. And it has all kinds of cards in it. I can show you some. Yeah, all kinds of cards. And it's a project, Erasmus, a European funded project. and its knowledge center was the lead partner, and together with researchers and sport organizations from all over Europe, we have found the 14 factors that can prevent youngsters from dropping out of sports, girls and boys in this case. And not only that, we have also concrete actions in place. And this card game is meant for sport clubs, their professionals and their volunteers, to enable better communication and understanding in what makes youngsters tick and what doesn't. So that in the future, more girls and boys will stay active, enjoy sports, and later on convey their love for sport to their children. It's my great pleasure to give this special toolbox full of questions and actions to the most important organization in Dubai, where we are now. So Abeer, I would like to hand the toolbox, and this is the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I would like now to invite two inspiring ladies, previous top sporters, Laura van Leeuwen and Amna Obaid al Mehiri. Laura is currently the general manager of the Ajax coaching academy at Sharjah FC in the UAE. She was a player in the Dutch national women's soccer team till 2004. Her education includes a Master International Sport Management at the Johan Cruyff Institute, an MBA at Nyenrode, and among others, the UEFA Women in Football Leadership Program. In her current position, Laura is responsible for implementation of Ajax football philosophy and the Youth Academy of Sharjah FC. She supervises and monitors the progress of the Ajax team at Sharjah FC and manage commercial activities. Welcome.
Thank you, Joyce.
And then we have Amna. Amna's passion for sports and basketball got her into the UAE national basketball team. Her experience of 30 years in basketball landed her a spot at the ADLC basketball team. She is now as well a senior associate in the DevOps engineering team. Her main role is to support the development cycle for all developers around the IT department by facilitating the work management and their releases processes. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
So looking back at your sport career, and let's start with you, Laura. What would you describe as a key achievement?
Well, I heard some personal stories, so I would like to share one myself. When I was 12, and I think it's important to give a perspective to women in sports. When I was 12, I was reading the newspaper, and there was the World Championship of Women's Soccer in the US. And I was 12, and I was reading the newspaper, and I told my mom, "Mom, I want to join one day, and I want to play in the United States." And then 6 years later, I played myself in the United States as a soccer player at a university. So yeah, I think this was one of the great achievements, and especially because I didn't know how to get there. I just knew I wanted to be there, and then one day I was there.
Bravo, believe. Amna.
Yeah. For myself, I think playing basketball for as long as I have played without major injuries is like a blessing, and I'm actually currently the captain in our team, so I think that's a good achievement at least. Yeah.
So if you look back at your sport career, what brought that actually to your current career?
I think first thing I learned in basketball and I brought it to work was, if you're not passionate about something, then you shouldn't try to do it because that would give you the drive to stay in the same place and to aspire to be better. Also, in basketball, because it's a team sport, you have to communicate and you have to learn how to be a team player, and I bring that to my work. And in the same time, the mental toughness, because you would hear comments from coaches or from other players with the intent of encouraging you, of course, but once you have that mentality that you're gonna take it and become better, I think it's gonna help you in your career as well.
So I heard passion, toughness.
Yeah.
Something to add there?
Yeah, and especially because I think it's a great achievement that you have not been injured yet. I was quite young. I was 21 when I got injured, but then I knew I still want to work in sports, and I want to make a difference in sports, even though I cannot play myself anymore. So I think it's the mental toughness there, but also finding your own qualities, which you can later on bring into your career. Because I think as a female, and especially in a more working with a lot of men, and also football is still a male-dominated sport, of course. I think it's great to add some qualities that are not the main topic. So speaking your truth, for example, it might be different than the common denominator. I think that's very important. So I think that's one of the things I brought in from sports to my career.
Yeah, I think I have a personal experience here. We have an athlete career program in our organization as well. And when I was still living in Hong Kong, we had a lady who was part of the Olympic swimming team and working part-time for us. But I was always very impressed, like how focused she was and how she set her goal. And I think that there are very much transferable skills from athletes to the work environment. Because she worked from 11 till 3:30, because she needed to train in the morning, she needed to train in the afternoon. But somehow she always managed in those short periods of time to actually get the job done. So I think that's very, what we quite often underestimate is maybe that some didn't finish school because of sport priorities, but they don't realize the skills they actually gain through being a top athlete. They're very much transferable to a lot of work environments. Laura, how do you inspire other girls or women to play sports?
To play sports, I'm not sure, but I think when I was also growing up, I played for the national team, of course, and we had a colleague there, and she was like a role model for me for working in a sports environment. So this is what I learned from her. So by being myself and bringing myself into football, I think I'm already inspiring. And then I work in the topic, I worked at the association in Holland. And for example, over there, there was a lot of work in progress to get more girls and women active in sports. And the same thing is now happening at Sharjah FC. So I work now for Sharjah FC. And at the club, we're now establishing a women's team, actually. So we're now starting the preparations. And from beginning of next season, we'd like to have a girls and women department, also at Sharjah FC. So I'm proud of this development for the club especially, and especially for girls and women in the UAE, Sharjah in particular.
And if you see the difference between the Netherlands and here, are that big difference, you think?
Well, it's like when I was growing up, I think we had the same environment. So me being the only girl in a men's or in a boys' team when I started playing. Yeah. So, but I like now that there's more opportunities for girls, because all the research shows a lot of girls just want to compete together and play together. And I think it's important. And still as an adult, when I came here, since I worked with only men, which I do like a lot, but then in my free time I still wanted to play sports, so I joined golf. But then there was a special program for ladies or for women, so I could still have my female energy organized by all the initiatives here in the UAE. So I think it's a great opportunity.
And Amna, how do you inspire women?
I think I actually agree with Laura when it comes to inspiring people by playing your best sport, because it's the same for me. When I see someone who's playing really well, I feel inspired to actually train harder. And the other thing I try is to basically be always respectful to my teammates, the people I play against, even the refs, because they're putting their time to play with me. So I try to be cheerful and happy and always smiling, because I want to give that message that I'm doing something that I'm really passionate about, and I hope that everyone have something that they're as passionate about as I am when I play.
Nice, nice. So, and in your opinion, to start with you, what is needed, in your opinion, to get more women in influential positions in sport organizations?
To me, the experience would be very important. So when we get females playing sports as the first step, they would be more beneficial as my admins in any organizational sport. I think it would help them to have the player experience and to have the experience in how to communicate with the players. A general understanding of what the team is going through, or individual players.
The experience. How see you being in a leadership role in a sport organization?
Yeah, so I can only speak from my experience, but what I think is important is first self-awareness. So knowing your qualities, knowing what you can do, what you cannot do, and then being brave about it. So I think I've worked a lot in the organization, and there has been times that I thought, I can do that as well, but nobody didn't really see it, or maybe they saw, but they didn't think of me being an opportunity to do that job or that role. And then becoming more aware of myself, I figured out, hey, I can do this. And then you need to be brave. So when the position came for general manager at Sharjah, I thought, hey, I can do that. And I just applied and I said, hey, I want to do this, guys. But then there's a second part, and this is where it comes to my colleagues. They gave me the opportunity. They thought, oh, I didn't think about you, but yeah, now you tell me, I think yeah, okay, let's see. And then they made it happen. So it's important first to know what you want. And then secondly, it's very nice to have a supportive environment. And I'm so grateful and thankful to the Ajax organization that they took a risk and it turned out well. So I'm happy with that.
I love that answer, and I think it's indeed be brave. Give it a try. We have, I think, one more minute. If there is anybody who have a question for these ladies. Sorry.
Actually, I'm a big fan of football. And when I see that a club like Ajax come here to train girls and encourage them to play football, what is the benefits for Ajax? We learn, like Arabic girls and Emirati women, when you see a training from professionals, and we all like how Dutch play football. But what's the benefits for Ajax? And when you find a talent from the UAE, what's the next step for you? Like, how do you maintain and keep them practicing and follow that stage, and do you really work and make them professional athletes in the future, or just having fun playing football and that's it, go home?
It's a great question, so thank you so much for asking. What we do at Sharjah FC is we do start with the boys' academy. So, but I think in general we can say that we try to educate the local people. So we're not here to tell how it works and what needs to be done, but we want to educate people. So in case we leave, the organizations can still continue. And now recently they start bringing the girls and the women's into the club. But I think we can offer them the same program. There's the coaches that need to be educated, and there's also the player pathway that needs to be a clear player pathway. So first goal is always having the boys and maybe the girls later into the first team of the academy, or into the first team of Sharjah FC, and maybe have them make the step over to Europe, because we're now so close on the ground. So that gives opportunities, I think.
Thank you, ladies. I would like now to ask Jacqueline, Mariam, and Abeer to come back to the stage for some final questions, if they are there, of course.
should I sit? Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Now, first of all, ladies, proud to be ladies. Actually, you are ladies to be proud of, so thank you all. Jacqueline, maybe the question is first to you, and then actually it's really relevant for everybody. I was wondering about, you said actually that the secret lies in the coach. The coach is actually going to make it happen. But is there anything actually being done to get the girls to the coach? Let's say, so actually more on the basic, actually something to be done at home or in the education at school to get the simulated getting there. So is there something? If not, shouldn't it be? And that is the same actually, shouldn't that be actually in the UAE?
Okay. Okay, thank you for the question. And of course, I said already it's a holistic approach and not only the coach, but thinking about girls that have some limited access to sport, it's very important that you feel that you get acquainted with sport at school or in your neighborhood. And in the Netherlands, we have, for instance, community sports motivators. They are in the neighborhood and they're organizing in the public space sport activities. You have, for instance, in the city of Rotterdam, you have the schoolsportvereniging, so the school sport club, and they offer a program of 2 years, just trying all kinds of sports, so that you know what's, oh, I don't like volleyball, but I do like the dancing, or kickboxing is something I never tried before, but I can get acquainted with all those kind of sports, and then it's more easy to stay into sports. And when there's a financial barrier, because sometimes kids say, I don't like sports, because they know there's a tight budget in the family. And so they say, I don't like sports. But it's when that's the issue, there are also funds like the Youth Fund for Sport and Culture in the Netherlands, or the municipal funding for it. And the community sport motivators or the sport clubs can identify that and can arrange that their membership fees can be paid. So that's my question and my answer.
I would just like to add that in Dubai Sports Council, we offer training and workshops for coaches every year, coaches in the Dubai clubs, so registered, certified coaches. And it's just to basically go every year. It could be different. It could be in regards to whatever the advancements in sports are, the themes that we are tackling now in sports, whether it's so wearable technology or new advances, maybe in AI or in the stadiums, and how things are now analysis and performs and things like that, that could help coaches understand the potential of their athletes. So we constantly have these workshops or yearly annual workshops with the coaches, and that is held in Dubai Sports Council, but it's in association with the Dubai clubs.
I'll add to that too. In the educational department at the academy, we launch as well different workshop. Like recently, we got the first 15th Emirati in national arbiter, chess national arbiter certified certificate from the federation in Emirates. So we're proudly happy and proudly about the achievement of these ladies. Along with the University of United Arab Emirates University, we launched bachelor degree along with them in health and physical education. We last September we graduated 15th as well, 11th to 15th graduate, the first batch of the Emirati ladies graduated from this program. They have their degree, and we are happy to say that we got the first 2 Emirati ladies in full-time as physical education teacher. That's our goal from that program. And the other girls now are looking opportunities in sports organization. Now they are armed with educational and first aid, how to coach. Now they can launch their own program. That's a great chance for us, and I was happy to inform you all about this degree. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. So, anybody? No questions here? One more thing to wrap it up. Today we heard a lot of angles about the importance of sports and physical activities. Thinking back about the seminar today, what is the key insight, and Mariam, starts with you, what is the insight after this seminar that might be changed or learnings you have taken?
Actually, I had a really nice time with you and listening to their experience. I would like to add to Laura what I heard about you and what did you say in coaching. That inspired me a lot, along with Amna, Abeer, Jacqueline. It's an honor to be, for me to be in the same table with these ladies, successful ladies. So I believe it will change a lot for myself. I believe. I want to start to keep the communication with the Dutch Pavilion and the Orange Sports Forum, I believe, organizer for this event. It's a really great chance to be here with you and to learn. Learning, it's never like there is no stop. We can learn as long as we live. So thank you all for this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, and my insight, be brave. It was in my presentation. You said it the same, and I think I was brave too to say I would like to do this theme, and it really worked out so well. And we really have learned from each other, and I think the bias that we all could have here in the audience and at the virtual audience at home. We've shared knowledge, we have shared stories, and we know more about each other. And this is the way to, because we do have to do it together, and then we have to know each other. So it's very nice that we can be here. And I think, indeed, we are part of the Netherlands Sports Week. We have talked about football innovation. We have talked about sustainability, sport innovation. Later on today, it will be about health. It's all included in the story of sport. Sport can change lives, but let's keep in mind that women and girls are a very important part of the society, and they deserve our attention. And so we did that today.
Thank you. I think for me, the greatest insight was that more forums like these, more platforms where women and everybody, experts, all of us and all of you, share this knowledge and share experiences. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here and sharing. And I learned a lot from everybody today. I think another insight would be we're always looking for a win-win situation, and we try to find solutions. Yes, we all have similar challenges, but we're not going to stop. We're trailblazers, and we're going to continue, and we're going to find best ways and best practices. And that insight for me, or that hope for me, means a lot, and it motivates me, to be honest. So I just want to say that this is just the beginning.
Amna, Laura, something to add?
As a player, I usually just second what the admin at my club says, and it's really an honor just to be here with you guys. Thank you so much.
Laura?
For me, last, I think bias and brave are two key words of today. So I think we're all brave here. I'm surrounded by brave women, changing the image, and I think, yeah, that's the way to go. And so thank you for that, and thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. And thank you, Joyce, for moderating this.
You're very welcome. Yeah. Brings us to the end of this couple of hours. Very insightful. Just a reminder, the replay will be available in maximum 24 hours. So for people who like to review particular parts, it will be available. And I thank you all for participating at home, participating in the room, and the speakers. So thank you very much, and have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you.